Thank you all for being here today. My name's Dan Simons. I'm the president and CEO of C3 Metals. We'll walk you through quickly in the next 10 minutes a high-level overview of the company. I'll be making some forward-looking statements today based on the best available data that we have in front of us today. I think at C3 Metals, it's a very simple value proposition. We're currently a 40 million Canadian market cap company. We just finished raising in November an $8 million Canadian financing in a difficult market. We're able to do that with no warrant and a very tight discount of 5.3% with some strong institutional investor support. And really the value proposition here is we have two big assets, a 30,000 hectare property in Peru, where we've identified over 15 copper gold skarn targets with an outcropping porphyry. We've drilled into the first of those targets of the 15, and we've come up with our maiden resource of 52 million tons of 0.5% copper and 0.2 gold right from surface. This would be less than a 1-to-1 strip. If we comp that to, as peers are trading copper for pound in the ground, that should be valued around 30 million Canadian with 8 million in cash. That essentially tells you you're getting our entire 20,000 hectare Jamaican portfolio for free, and that's where we're spending the bulk of our investment this year, and for good reason. We'll talk about that here in a moment. But I always think it's important to understand the people involved in a company, because typically in this industry, people have had success lead to future success. And our board is chaired by a gentleman by the name of Tony Manini, very well known in Australia, over 30 years of experience. He's been involved in companies taking them from 3 million market cap to 8 billion market cap through the founding of Oxiana Gold, Oz Minerals, and more recently, one of the founders of EMR Capital, which is now the largest natural resources private equity firm in Australia. So on our board, we have people that have built companies from the early exploration stage all the way through production, multi-asset diversified producers, as well as people who have sold junior companies to seniors, mine builders who've built the leading engineering firm design in our industry. So the people running the company day to day are myself. I have a capital markets background. My entire career has been around M&A and financing in this industry. And my business partner, the VP Exploration, Steve Hughes, very fortunate to have him, our VP Exploration. He spent 25 years in Indonesia. Half that time was at the largest copper gold mine in the world, Freeport's Grasberg mine. In the last 5 years there, he managed the entire geology side of the underground block cave. Steve's one of the few people who can say that he's been involved in the discovery or delineation of 34 billion pounds of copper and 47 million ounces of gold over 14 projects in the last 25 years. And then it's not just the internal team, it's our external shareholders as well, and the analysts who cover us. For a little $40 million market cap company, we're now up over 35% institutionally held. Insiders hold roughly 10%, and we have a couple analysts in Beacon Securities and Paradigm Capital who are covering us now. So we're leveraging our technical team's success that they've had and their skill sets on large copper gold deposits. We're going to spend most of our time talking about Jamaica today because that's where the bulk of our investment's going. A lot of people don't recognize that mining is actually the #2 industry in Jamaica. We all think of Jamaica, we think about going to the nice warm beach, getting out in the sunshine, but mining is the #2 industry. And this is really based off a bauxite industry that's been going for over 70 years. You think about the original James Bond, Dr. No, back when Sean Connery was James Bond on the beach. There's the reference in Jamaica to the bauxite industry then. It's still going strong. They export over $500 million US annually. And you can imagine at a 25% corporate tax rate for a population of 2.8 million people on the island, it's a massive revenue generator. And because that industry has been going over for 70 years, the reserves are in decline. So the government, this is right off the ministry's website, so the government's view is to promote, one of their mandates is to promote and encourage investment in non-bauxite metallic minerals as a means of diversifying the mineral sector. And that's where we come in. So we looked at the opportunity in Jamaica. It makes perfect sense. You have the same major fault system ripping right through the island that controls mineralization on some very large deposits in the Caribbean. We see copper gold deposits all through Cuba, Haiti, Dominican Republic, and Puerto Rico, so why wouldn't they be in Jamaica? There was previous mining in the 1800s when the British were colonizing Jamaica. Reports, we found over 62 adits and shafts on our property where they were mining old epithermal veins associated with the porphyry deposits that we're now targeting. And then more recently, there was a gold mine mine put into production, a modern day gold mine that ran for a couple of years, mining one epithermal vein, small tonnage at 73,000 tons, but very high grade at 21 grams per ton. So this is the sort of potential that we see. Our property sits right in the center of the island of Jamaica. We've picked up 20,000 hectares. You can see where that past producing mine sits. We don't own it. The past producing Pennants mine, we don't own it, but we surround it on three sides. We've spent a lot of time with airborne magnetics, boots on the ground, mapping surface geology, soil geochemistry, and putting all this together, we've identified 16 porphyry and 40 epithermal prospects over a 30-kilometer strike extent. So this is very clearly a true district scale potential. We're going to zoom in now on this area that we call Bella's Gate, where 12 of those 16 porphyry prospects sit, and that's where we've been focused here recently. We raised a little bit of money last April. We raised $5 million. We brought in 2 drill rigs, got a drill program started in August after all that 10 months of boots on the ground work to really build up these targets for drill ready. And you can see the results that we've been putting out very steadily since we started drilling in August, starting in September, when we've had the broadest hits of copper gold mineralization ever in the history of the island of Jamaica, with 391 meters. That included 280 meters of 0.6% copper equivalent. We've had 208 meters of 0.57 copper equivalent, only 22 meters down hole. So we're onto something here. And when you see this amount of porphyry deposits clustered on this area, the odds are very good that you're going to have one or two or more that are going to be fertile and economic, because it's a very large hydrothermal system. Really important to understand is the zones of these types of deposits, because we're starting to see it as we're drilling in, and we're seeing the grade of the copper and gold grade really improving at depth. As we get through the pyrite shell of these porphyries, there's this shell where you have 10-to-1 ratios of pyrite to chalcopyrite. Pyrite is copper sulfide, is a sulfide mineral, but it's non-copper bearing, where chalcopyrite is copper bearing. About a third of chalcopyrite is copper. So as we transition, we see the pyrite ratio decrease and the chalcopyrite ratio increase, the grade kicks up. And then on the last drill hole we announced, we got our first sniffs of bornite, and that's an even higher grade copper sulfide mineral. It's 2/3 copper. And just to illustrate what that means, when we're in the pyrite shell, you can see the grade here. It's sub-ore grade, but it's the smoke. It's what we look for. We look for the porphyry veining, B veining. We look for that level of sulfide in the system. And as we transition down this drill hole, you can see the grade really picks up, where chalcopyrite becomes dominant, close to 1.2% copper equivalent. And then where we got our first sniffs of bornite, close to 2% copper equivalent. So now we're taking a larger capacity drill rig to follow up on that less drill hole and get right underneath and hopefully get right into the guts of this system with a long broad hit of high grade. But it doesn't end at that Bella's Gate area that 10-kilometer area that we're focused on right now. It continues right in this area that you see here called Arthur's Seat. This was a discovery, brand new, made in 2022. We're still working on this one. We're going to run some IP here this year, but you can see this is an 8-kilometer by 4.5-kilometer area where every magenta triangle you see here is surface sample grading over 1% copper at surface. It just doesn't get here without there's being a big system somewhere close by, so we're working this up. Also, when we think back around to that past-producing Pennants gold mine that operated until 2004, you can see that little purple circle. That's the old pit. We've taken samples along the same fault zone over 4 kilometers, anywhere from 1 gram gold up to 36 gram gold right at surface. There's a splay fault just to the north of that where we've sampled 16 meters, 1.2% copper. So you put it all together, it's a 30-kilometer strike extent. We're funded this year. We're planning up to 20,000 meters of drilling. So when you think about a 40 million market cap company with 8 million in cash, drilling up to 20,000 meters, which should generate a lot of news flow this year on 16 porphyry, 40 epithermal targets, and your value is really underpinned and protected by the resource that we put out last spring in Peru, that if we market comp should be worth around 30 million, then that puts you in a pretty safe place where you have limited downside with a lot of upside through the drill bit this year. That's the quick high-level pitch on C3 Metals, and I'm just over in this very aisle if you exit this room, just to the left in booth 928, and be happy to answer any questions you have there. Thank you very much for your time today. Really appreciate it.